Hi guys, this is our video on cross sections. A cross section is a two-dimensional image that is created when a three-dimensional object is sliced. So imagine if I took a saw, okay, and I had a line marked out and I was just going to saw through this shape in this way, okay? And what we're going to be asking you is, what is the shape that you would see if you opened this up and looked at it on the end after cutting? Okay, what would that look like? Alright, so we're going to be working with rectangular prisms, triangular prisms, and square pyramids. With rectangular prisms, the cross section is going to be the same size and shape as the face that is parallel to it. Okay, what does that even mean? Alright, so let's say in my first diagram I've got a vertical, and we need to write that down, a vertical slice from front to back. That means that if I had my saw, I'd start cutting here from in the front and move toward the back, and vertical means down, so I'd be moving down. So my slice would be this part in the middle. And you'll notice that if I color that slice in, it looks exactly like the end part. Now, we're looking at three-dimensional objects on a two-dimensional screen, so you kind of have to envision what that slice is going to look like when I turn it and flatten it, and it'll look like a square because the ending is a square. The middle is a horizontal slice, and on your homework you're going to see these specific things. Okay, so for my horizontal slice, it means that I'm cutting horizontally, and that's the part that I just colored in there. That's the shape that it's going to look like when it's cut. And it's exactly the same shape as the top and the bottom, which is this rectangle shape if I could turn it. Okay? This one's going to be hard to color. I don't know if the coloring is going to help. Maybe I'll use, this is a slightly lighter orange. Maybe I'll use red instead to color. Okay? So when I color in this cross section, you can see that it is a rectangle shape, the same shape as the front or the back, which is this orange rectangle there. Okay? In a triangular prism, it is shaped like a triangular face, or it's shaped like a rectangle. Okay, so if I cut out this green piece, okay, if I slice along that green piece's line, it's going to look like that. If I horizontal slice, it's going to make the shape of a rectangle. And the higher up that slice is made, if the slice were made up higher, that would be a smaller rectangle. If the slice were made down toward the bottom, it would be a larger rectangle. Rectangular pyramid. A vertical cross section is a triangle, so over here this would be the vertical. And here's the cross section if I color it in. Okay, and then you kind of just have to imagine that you turn it so that you can see it full on instead of at an angle, and it would look like that triangle. Or a horizontal slice. Which is going to look, and now in a two-dimensional screen that looks like a parallelogram, but you have to imagine that it's not, and when you tip it up it would look like a rectangle. Then there's composite cross sections. This is actually what was asked on the state test. There are two figures on top of each other. So for example, if you had a triangular prism on top of a rectangular prism, and then you slice it, okay? If I did a vertical slice side to side, vertical, then it makes, let me write vertical here, it makes this shape. Imagine cutting your house straight down through the roof. Okay, you'd get a pentagon, and pentagon just means 5 sides. If I were to slice it front to back, then it would make that rectangle shape. Okay? On the homework, I want to clarify so we all understand. The front side is asking you to match the 2D shape that represents the cross section of the 3D shape. So a lot of students are focusing on this blue shaded thing. I want you to imagine that this blue shaded thing is a slice of glass. And the gray shape, the three-dimensional shape, has been cut. And the two pieces are holding that piece of glass in place. But then you take it apart, and you take one side of this figure off and the other side, and you open and you can see on the inside what it's going to look like. So it's going to be like this, here, and if I could see the other side, it would kind of be parallel to this side, parallel to this side, and it would be kind of like a rectangle that's taller than it is wide. Well, up here that kind of matches with A. It does match with A. So that answer is A. Okay, and number 2, if I were to lift the top off of this and lift the glass off, I would see, and the pixelation is terrible on this, I'm sorry. It's a long, skinny rectangle, which is F. If I were doing 3, and I lifted off the top, this would be a triangle that generally points down, just like D. Okay, so direction is important. Don't just match up a triangle with a triangle. Look and see what direction it's facing before you match it up. I would also really encourage you to cross off as you go, because each shape will only be used once. On the back of your homework, you have 4 words to fill in and 7 questions, so you will use some of them twice. All right, so in number 10 it says make a horizontal slice. Well, I would draw in that horizontal slice to see what it makes. Okay, this is going to make that rectangle shape. Okay, now you don't have to draw this, but I'm just drawing it for you to demonstrate. So I would write rectangle on the line. Okay, number 14 says vertical slice side to side, so side to side. This one is just like the one in the notes. There's really not a lot of variation we can do with this, guys. So it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so that's the shape I drew. And what I get is a 5-sided shape. Which is a pentagon. Okay, so you don't need to cross off the words at the top. You'll use some of them more than once. Okay? Have a great day.